Ryan Kalil, everybody, All-Pro Center here on GMFB. What's up, Ryan?
Hey. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Is this your native journey on GMFB with us, or have you made appearances as a player before?
No, first time.
No way.
Yeah, you guys don't bring a lot of offensive linemen on this show.
Oh.
So,
no, we got Tehran.
Tehran comes on.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I know.
Snowman. That's why I had to slim down. I was like,
no. I
got all these great-looking people here. So.
Well, we just saw the trailer for your next project. It comes out August 5th. It's the Osos Monterey. What is this team?
The show's called We Are Osos, and it's about our team, Osos Monterey in Monterey, Mexico. And it's been a heck of a project. I mean, I had no idea about football in Mexico until about a year and a half ago. I was actually here speaking at a symposium for a bunch of current and former players about transitioning into Hollywood. And it was the international guy for the NFL who was telling me all about football in Mexico. There's something like 30 million NFL fans down there.
Yep.
Wow. And it goes back to the 1920s. They have college football there. They play club, youth, all the way up to college. And now there's a league that's been around for about 10 years. And we just absolutely fell in love with it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. We went down there. We saw the level of play. There's homegrown kids there. There's international guys there they call them imports. So guys are kind of in between camps, guys who are just kind of hanging on, or guys that just love the game and want to play a little bit longer while they still can. So it was a lot of fun. And we felt like, there needs to be a documentary about this because we had no idea.
When did this team ownership idea kind of enter your mind? Was it at that? Was it while you're still playing? Because, for football players, it's like, the realities of trying to make that transition, as you talked about, start to be real at a certain time. When did that happen for you, Ryan?
Yeah, obviously, Blake and I have been doing the Hollywood thing for about 5-6 years now. And sometimes I think trying to make shows and films in Hollywood is much harder than blocking somebody like Darnold. But I just miss being a part of a team. You know how it is. There's no other place like a locker room, especially an NFL locker room. And football is just, it's been a part of my life for so long. And so the more we kept talking about this team, the more we kept talking about this league, and there was an opportunity to be a part of it, I couldn't help but jump on it. And then I wrestled all these guys into it with me. And they all saw the same thing. I mean, they got very excited by it because, we all get asked to invest into things that we don't really know a lot about. And this is something that we know very well. And so we felt like all this experience that, blocking a one shade doesn't really translate into a lot of businesses outside of football. So this one has a very specific experience that we felt like would be, obviously additive, but we felt like it would be a lot of fun.
Ryan, help the viewers out a little bit. So, for example, if a guy plays college basketball, doesn't make it in the NBA, he can go play in Europe. And, that style of basketball is super different than maybe what we see in the NBA. What style of football are people seeing when they go down and they watch?
Again, they are NFL fans. So this league is set up with NFL rules. And so it was a pretty quick transition for us to understand how this game was played. But because of our involvement, there is an opportunity now for us to sort of keep pushing the league in new directions. And we can also potentially be a league that funnels guys to the big show here and also maybe even try doing experimental things with the game. So these are discussions we're having right now. But for the most part, there's a quick shorthand that these guys all understand because of the game we all know.
Cool. That's really cool. I feel like we could just keep picking your brain about that. But I want to tie in the fact that you have that football experience, and these guys might be watching the film of current players or former, which brings me back to Darnold that you mentioned. What can you imagine his process has been like as he is contemplating coming back? I know you retired and came back. Just how hard is that really?
I know his process very well. Every player goes through this. If you're lucky enough to where you get to play a long time and get to hang it up on your own terms, that's great. But even then, it's still hard. And I know for myself, I played 12 years in Carolina, and just the body felt run down. I felt like I did everything I could. But then when I got back here to the West Coast, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I started calling guys. And I'm sure he's getting the same advice, which is you'll know when you know. And the advice that I got was if you're still thinking about it, if you're still considering playing, you should absolutely go back because you'll never get that opportunity ever again. That window is so short. And that's what I felt. And so I ended up going to the Jets. I unretired and tricked everyone. Went to the Jets. And Sam Darnold was part of the reason. He was part of the sell. And obviously great franchise and heard a lot of great things about, the community there and the facilities. And so I always thought, well, I never got to see what another place looked like. That season didn't really go great, but it did give me the closure I needed. I got to come back, and I for sure knew I was done. So my advice to Aaron would be, if you're still thinking about it, you should absolutely come back. And I know selfishly we'd all love to see that.
Oh, yes.
Could you imagine that tandem of Darnold and Garrett, though, as an offensive lineman? I mean, that would be hard to strap back up and have to go against those two.
I mean, it's crazy. Both of those guys are the same guy in that they both have the craziest first step.
Yeah.
Most guys that you play against on the defensive line, they have one or two moves, right? And then typically they are an expert in one of them. So one guy could be a power guy, one guy could be a speed guy, and they're both. And so they're constantly setting you up all game long. You start getting back on your heels because you're scared of them, robe it open you.
Yep.
They'll just go right through your chest. And then they can run sideline to sideline. They cause all kinds of plays, not just tackling and sacks, but they can cause fumbles. They can chase down and run. I mean, it's just crazy to think both of those guys on the same line.
So you had retired and you were contemplating coming back, and Sam Darnold being an SC guy, you wanted to play with him, obviously, and then you watched Sam go through everything that he went through in his career. What was that like for you to watch him stand on a podium in February and hold up a Lombardi trophy?
I mean, I was so proud of him to go from him screwing me because he got sick that first week.
No.
Yeah. I go back. He gets sick that first week. He's out like 4 or 5. So I get there. I'm not even playing with him.
You're like,
and then
bruh,
it was just
you're the
us.
whole reason.
Yeah. And then it was just us just kind of limping through the year. But yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of him. But I always knew Sam would be that way. I mean, there's very few guys who are, one of the keys in a longtime player, but especially a quarterback, is somebody who's resilient. And Sam has always been that guy. He's just, he's steady Eddie. He very rarely gets rattled. He doesn't really get affected by any kind of naysay to his game, to his personality, to anything. And I couldn't be more proud of him. But yeah, it's been exciting to watch him just continue to play well, and then to see him hold that trophy was awesome.
So you're one of those, Ryan, that knew it from the Jets days. Because a lot of people knew it from Minnesota. They're like, man, we knew it after Minnesota. You're one of those guys that from the Jets you knew.
There's several articles of me calling it out, especially when he went to Carolina, because they were calling me obviously and asking what I thought about him. And yeah, what I said back then is true today, and you'll continue to see him just ascend. So it's been fun to watch.
You got good stories, man. You played with a lot of people, and we want to keep tapping into it.
Yeah, I did.
That was a heavy sigh. You know him from the picture on the left. Hollywood is getting to know him from the picture on the right. Ryan at the breakfast table. Ryan, just give us the numbers, please, and be patient with us because we want people to understand your journey. Who was that guy on the left? Size, height, weight, whatever. What were you playing at? And how did you get to who we see here at the table today?
That guy still 6'2" and a half, 6'3" in the program. So you know how we boost it up. The most that guy on the left ever weighed was probably 305, but I probably played closer to like 290, 295.
Okay.
The guy on the right is 225, and my kids prefer the guy on the left.
No way.
They miss the beard.
No way.
Yeah. They don't like this guy on the right as much as the guy on the left.
How hard was it harder for you to keep the weight on the left or get the weight off for the guy on the right?
Yeah, keeping the weight on was hard, and you know how it is. Like most guys are trying to stay under a certain weight so they don't get fined. Mine was the other way. So
you had a floor.
Oh yeah, I had to eat probably like 6,000 calories a day. I mean, it was nuts.
Man, bro.
So yeah, everybody asked me, how did I lose so much weight? I just stopped eating, pretty much. Weight gain shakes, the whole thing.
Sure.
But yeah.
You look great.
Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
and
it.
it's good for your longevity, I'm sure. But now people have such a different approach to this, especially with staying on the field and staying right. So you work with Christian McCaffrey with this ownership group of this Mexican football team and this league that's in Mexico. We see crazy videos of him and what he's trying to do to not only stay healthy on the field, but to stay injury-free.
Yeah.
What's it been like for you knowing Christian from Panthers days, but also what he is now?
Well, Christian's been like that since day day one. I mean, he's just such a curious person in general, but also he's been doing that since I've known him since the Panthers days. I mean, he just started filming it and putting it out there for all the brands. But yeah, he's so disciplined and he's so dedicated and he just loves the game. He loves discovering new ways to go about it. And obviously, you know, and I can relate to this. I was always, funny enough, I was always considered undersized for my position, and I think Christian's heard that his whole career. So he's constantly trying to find ways to gain an advantage, to obviously take care of his body and play as long as he can. But yeah, he's somebody I call all the time for nutrition advice or just things I should do. He's been trying to get me to come work out with him. But like you said, I keep seeing these crazy videos, and I'm like, it's not going to happen. I'm not. No. He's like, no, it's fine. I promise you, it's way more chill than you think. I was like, no, it's not. Yeah. He loves Bruce Lee, so he's also like, he's very spiritual about it. It's pretty fun to watch.
Well, I played against Ryan for my 3 years in New Orleans, and we were talking about during commercial break. When you do the day one scouting report on your team, they'll put a depth chart out, and every person of the opponent list has like a color associated with it. Gray is like, don't worry about this guy. Then it goes red, which is like, this guy's a really good starter. And then there's the blue. Ryan was the blue guy. Okay, that was the guy that's like this all-pro, Pro Bowl guy. The offense runs through him. Ryan, you've seen it all. You've played with a bunch of different quarterbacks. In your opinion, when do you know that a young quarterback is ready to take that next step mentally?
I think you just see it naturally when the game starts slowing down for him. You can see the confidence on him. And I think, you know, in this league, the one thing that's been disheartening is we don't really develop guys the way that we used to. Used to see guys stay in a backup position for a long time, and we're quick to throw these guys into the fire. And when we don't get the results we want, we have fast turnover. And so I think the guys that you're seeing that are starting to slow down and get comfortable, it's because the teams are being intentional about getting, you know, pieces around them or taking their time and developing them. So that's what you like to see, and you'll start seeing it around the league. The more guys are doing it.
Well, you talk about that development stage. Fernando Mendoza's coming out this year, right? They have Kirk Cousins. It seems like Tom Brady understands that there's that mentoring process. Are you one of those guys that when you hear people pushing to that, get him out there now, get him out here now, it sounds like you're one of the guys that understands, like, no, let him just chill, marinate a little bit, and develop on the sidelines, and then when he's ready, going. That's what I'm hearing from you, Ryan.
I think so. I think that's the best way to go about it. I mean, Tom was a perfect example of somebody who benefited from that. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think there's so many talented quarterbacks in this league, but I do feel like there's a pressure for them to be ready to go right away, right out the box. And I think it's why you're seeing us take guys off the couch like Phillip Rivers. And there is a big difference. You know, you see these young guys come up to the line, and all I see them do is this. And this guy doesn't even know the playbook, and he's out here telling them the exact route. I mean, that game he was mic'd up was nuts. He was like, you run a go route, you run a hitch, and he was still throwing it and still hitting it. So, yeah, I think part of that is just because he has so many games under his belt. He has so much experience, so the game is like slow motion for him. And so, yeah, you want to see a guy be able to come in and learn. And I know I didn't start right away. I was in a backup position, and I needed that. Not just from a playbook standpoint, but also, you know how it is, man. This game, you have to be so resilient. You have to be able to handle the ups and downs so well, because it will punish you real quickly, emotionally, mentally. And I was lucky enough to have these great mentors who were like, just calm down, do this, do that. I'll never forget my first game where I gave up 3 sacks to Mobi Okoye, and I was just like, well, that's the end of this whole NFL journey. And my left tackle was Jordan Gross, and he was just laughing at me. And I was like, why is this guy laughing at me in the middle of this game? And he just put his hand on my shoulder, and he was like, listen, one day you're going to understand this. It's not as bad as it seems. It's not as great as it seems. And so that was a great lesson, which is you just have to kind of stay like this the whole way through, and it helps. But not everybody goes through that, and you see guys get discouraged pretty quickly, and they don't have guys that can get around them, and they just kind of fizzle out.
You're like, but seriously, why are you laughing right at me?
Yeah, well, 100%.
3 sacks in. You're like, still remember it to this day. You hear it. You're like, I don't need that.
I think after the 3rd sack, Jake Delhomme got up, and he just looked at me, and he was like, is that you again? And I was like, Yeah.
Forgot
Sorry,
one Christmas
Jake.
present
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
ironically, just that one.